What's up, Night Owl? Steely here, back with another video, and today we're going to be looking at the Dungeons & Dragons Unearthed Arcana Subclasses Revisited. Now, I don't normally look at Unearthed Arcana stuff, but I am pretty excited about some of these subclasses, and I expect to see them in the next book, or at least in the future. Also, there's some demand for Unearthed Arcana stuff on YouTube, at least I think so. And if you enjoyed this Unearthed Arcana stuff, let me know in the comments below, and I'll churn out more content like this. So first up, we have the new Rogue archetype, Phantom. And the Phantom's very first feature is Whispers of the Dead. Echoes of those who have died begin to cling to you. Whenever you finish a short or long rest, you can gain one skill or tool proficiency of your choice as a ghostly presence shares its knowledge with you. This proficiency lasts until you use this feature again. Now, I have mixed feelings about Whispers of the Dead. You do get one tool or skill proficiency and it lasts until you use it again. That's nice, but rogues already have a good bit of skill coverage, at least in my opinion. So maybe I would like it a little more if it was expertise. I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments below what you would use Whispers of the Dead for. All I'm thinking of is maybe a tool proficiency that you can use to craft something maybe while you're out. Now, I actually just realized this. As I was reading it, it says short or long rest. So if you actually know that you're going to need a skill in the coming dungeon, or if you're already in the dungeon and you're taking a break, this one has some potential. I do like the idea of it. But one thing that I would like to see different, other than the expertise, that might be a little bit too much, is maybe add languages on there as well. Like if you know you're about to face a dragon or a giant or something, or go into Underdark, you can take a short rest and have a representative that knows that language ghost kind of translate for you. That would be kind of cool, I think. You could add language to the list as well as skill and tool proficiencies. But you guys let me know in the comments. That's my opinion of Whispers of the Dead. Let's move on to the next one. Wails from the Grave. This is also 3rd level. As you nudge someone closer to the grave, you can cause deathly wails to be heard near them. Immediately after you deal your sneak attack damage to a creature on your turn, you can target a second creature that you can see within 30 feet of the first creature. Roll half the number of sneak attack dice for your level, round up, and the second creature takes psychic damage equal to the roll's total, as wails of the dead sound around them for a moment. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Half your sneak attack damage to a second target is pretty nice, and I like the thematic element of ghosts coming up out of nowhere and just start yelling at the enemy. That's pretty cool. One thing I'd like to point out is that it says immediately after you deal your sneak attack damage to a creature on your turn, you can target a second. This means that you know the amount of damage that you do. So if you have a bad sneak attack, you roll a bunch of 1s, you cannot use this feature. You can wait till you get the fat 6s and 5s and then do half to another creature. So I like that. I like that you can choose when to use it after the damage has already been established. At least that's what I'm getting reading this block. Tokens of the Departed, 9th level Phantom feature. This feature is just too cool, and I love it. When life ends in your presence, you're able to snatch a token from the departing soul, a sliver of its life essence that takes physical form. As a reaction, when a creature you can see dies within 30 feet of you, you open your free hand and a tiny trinket appears there, a soul trinket. The DM chooses the trinket's form or has you roll on a trinket's table in the player's handbook to determine it. While the soul trinket is on your person, you have advantage on death saving throws and con saves, as your vitality is enhanced by the life essence within the object. You can have a maximum number of soul trinkets equal to your proficiency bonus, and you can't create one while at your maximum. As an action, you can destroy one of your soul trinkets no matter where it's located. When you do so, you can ask the spirit associated with the trinket one question. The spirit appears to you and answers in a language it knew in life. It's under no obligation to be truthful, and it answers as concisely as possible, eager to be free. This is so cool. I love this feature. If something dies near you, you get a piece of its soul, and you can release it later and ask it a question. So you actually get to keep track on your character sheet what died. Like this token belongs to the big bad evil guy or something. You can break it later and ask him a question. That is just cool. Now, having advantage on con saves and death saving throws kind of makes it to where if you have a trinket, which you probably will after 9th level at all times, you are really, really hard to kill. My only gripe with this one is that it might be a little too strong, but granted, it is a 9th level feature, so no big deal. And I only say that because you get advantage on death saving throws and con saves, which makes you pretty difficult to kill if you're carrying one of these tokens, which chances are you're going to always have one on you. Next up at 13th level, we have Ghost Walk. You can now phase partially into the realm of the dead, becoming like a ghost. As a bonus action, you assume a spectral form While in this form, you have a flying speed of 10 feet, you can hover, and attack rolls have disadvantage against you. You can also move through creatures and objects as if they were difficult terrain, but you take a d10 force damage if you end your turn inside a creature or an object. You stay in this form for 10 minutes or until you end it as a bonus action. To use this feature again, you must finish a long rest or destroy one of your soul trinkets as part of the bonus action you use to activate. DMs beware, your rogue can walk through walls now. This one looks pretty good to me. I think the only thing that I personally would change about it is if you end your movement, you take the d10 force damage rather than if you end your turn. That kind of prevents some cheekiness that I'm anticipating from this ability, but I haven't play tested it, so I'm not sure. Looks good to me. And finally, the 17th level Phantom feature is Death Knell. When you use your Wails from the Grave feature, you can now deal psychic damage to both the first and second creature. Pretty cool. You do half your sneak attack damage to another target as psychic damage, and you do that damage again to your main target. Boring, it's extra damage, but pretty good. Pretty good. Now for the Genie Lock. So you can choose from the 4 elements, earth, fire, water, air. Whichever genie type you choose, you get an expanded spell list based off of that type, and you get a catch-all genie spells as well. Your first level spell added is Detect Evil and Good, and if you choose earth, you get Sanctuary. Air, you get Thunder Wave. Fire, you get Burning Hands. And water, you get Fog Cloud. Second level, you get to add Phantasmal Force, and if you choose earth, you get Spike Growth. Air, you get Gust of Wind. Fire, you get Scorching Ray. And water, you get Blur. Third level, you get Create Food and Water, and if you chose earth, you get Meld into Stone. Air, you get Wind Wall. Fire, you get Fireball. And water, you get Sleet Storm. At fourth, you get Phantasmal Killer. If you chose earth, you get Stone Shape. Air, you get Greater Invisibility. Fire, you get Fire Shield. And water, Control Water. At fifth level, you get Creation. And if you chose earth, you get Wall of Stone. Air, you get Seeming. Fire, you get Flame Strike. And water, you get Cone of Cold. And at ninth level, you get Wish. Pretty big deal, that one. The only thing that I would change about the expanded spell list, and this is the hill that I will die on, is I would add one of the elemental cantrips from Xanathar's. I'm actually amazed they didn't do this. Gust, Mold Earth, Shape Water, Control Flame. They fit the theme so well. Next up is your Genie's Vessel. Your patron gifts you a magical vessel that grants you a measure of the Genie's power. The vessel is a tiny object, and you can use it as a spellcasting focus for your Warlock spells. You decide what the object is, or you can determine what it is randomly by rolling on the Genie's Vessel table. An oil lamp, an urn, ring with a compartment, stoppered bottle, hollow statuette, and ornate lantern. While you are touching the vessel, you can use it in the following ways. Bottled Respite. As an action, you can magically vanish and enter your vessel, which remains in the space you left. The interior of the vessel is an extra-dimensional space in the shape of a 20-foot radius cylinder, 20 feet high, and resembles your vessel. The interior is comfortably appointed with cushions and low tables and is a comfortable temperature. While inside, you can hear the area around your vessel as if you were in its space. You can remain inside the vessel up to a number of hours equal to twice your proficiency bonus. You exit the vessel early if you use a bonus action to leave, if you die, or if the vessel is destroyed. When you exit the vessel, you appear in an unoccupied space closest to it. Any objects left in the vessel remain there until carried out, and if the vessel is destroyed, every object stored there harmlessly appears in an unoccupied space closest to. Any objects left in the vessel remain there until carried out, and if the vessel is destroyed, every object stored there harmlessly appears in an unoccupied space closest to the vessel's former space. Once you enter the vessel, you can't enter again until you finish a long rest. This thing is very cool. This is like a level 1 bag of holding. You essentially get a 20 by 20 room that you can store stuff in and carry it around with you in your little extra-dimensional genie lamp. Genie's Wrath. Once during each of your turns, when you hit with an attack roll, you can deal extra damage to the target equal to your proficiency bonus. The type of this damage is determined by your patron. The vessel's AC equals your spell save DC, its hit points equal your Warlock level plus your proficiency bonus, and it is immune to poison and psychic damage. If the vessel is destroyed or you lose it, you can perform a 1-hour ceremony to receive a replacement from your patron. This ceremony can be performed during a short or long rest, and the previous vessel is destroyed if it exists. The vessel vanishes in a flare of elemental power when you die. At 6th level, Genie Lock gets Elemental Gift. You begin to take on characteristics of your patron's kind. You now have resistance to the damage type determined by your patron's kind: bludgeoning, thunder, fire, or cold. In addition, as a bonus action, you can give yourself a fly speed of 30 feet that lasts for 10 minutes, during which you can hover. You can use this bonus action a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. A fly speed at 6th level for casters is pretty common. I wish it lasted a little longer, but other than that, 10th level Genie Lock gets Sanctuary Vessel. When you enter your genie's vessel via the Bottle Respite feature, you can now choose up to 5 willing creatures that you can see within 30 feet of you, and the chosen creatures are drawn into the vessel with you. As a bonus action, you can eject any number of creatures from the vessel, and everyone is ejected if you leave or the vessel is destroyed. In addition, anyone, including you, who remains within the vessel for at least 10 minutes gains the benefit of finishing a short rest, and anyone can add your proficiency bonus to the number of hit points they regain if they spend any hit dice as part of a short rest there. So one big thing that I want to point out about this Sanctuary Vessel that I hope they address is that this block never mentions how a creature can leave, other than the Warlock, who can use a bonus action to eject somebody out. But if you're in there, you're stuck there. As far as this says, you're stuck there until the Warlock lets you out. This could lead to some pretty cheeky things. If you charm person and then ask the person to jump in the bottle with you, or if somebody in the bottle makes you mad, can you leave them in there? That's pretty much the first thing I thought of when I read this Sanctuary Vessel. I imagine that scene from The Matrix when they go into the subway and the guy's like, "You're in my world now, buddy." So yeah, I hope they cover how to get out. Moving on. 14th level Genie Lock gets Limited Wish. You entreat your patron to grant you a small wish. As an action, you can speak your desire to your genie's vessel, requesting the effect of one spell that is 6th level or lower and has a casting time of 1 action. The spell can be from any class's spell list, and you don't need to meet the requirements in that spell, including costly components. The spell simply takes effect as part of this action. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a D4 long rest. Limited Wish. This is awesome. It's too bad they only get 6th level or lower and they have to wait a D4 long rest. That's harsh, but I really like this feature. And for those of you who are like, "Oh no, 7th level, I can't get Simulacrum," remember that you do get Wish later on as a Genie Lock when you get 9th level spells. So, fear not, you still get actual Wish on top of your Limited Wish. And now my favorite of the subclasses revisited, the Order of Scribes Wizard. At 2nd level, you get Wizardly Quill. As a bonus action, you can magically create a tiny quill in your free hand. The magic quill has the following properties. The quill doesn't require ink. When you write with it, it produces ink in a color of your choice on the writing surface. The gold and time you must spend to copy a spell into your spellbook are halved if you use the quill for the transcription. You can erase anything you write with the quill if you wave the feather over the text as a bonus action, provided the text is within 5 feet of you. This quill disappears if you create another one or if you die. Wizards are already a huge gold sink as far as spells known goes. They have to fill up their spellbook, and most wizards will keep a backup spellbook in case they lose this one, which is actually covered in the Scribe Wizard. And it's nice that the quill cuts the cost of every spell you add, not just your specific school like the other. Also at 2nd level, you have Awakened Spellbook. Using specially prepared inks and ancient incantations passed down by your wizardly order, you have awakened an arcane sentience within your spellbook. While you are holding the book, it grants you the following benefits. You can use the book as a spellcasting focus for your wizard spells. When you cast a wizard spell with a spell slot, you can temporarily replace its damage type with the damage type of another spell in your spellbook as your spellbook magically alters the spell's formula for this casting. When you cast a wizard spell as a ritual, you can use the spell's normal casting time rather than adding 10 minutes to it. Once you use this benefit, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. If necessary, you can replace the book over the course of a short rest by using your wizardly quill to write arcane sigils in a blank book or a magic spell book to which you're attuned. At the end of the rest, your spellbook's consciousness is summoned into the new book, which the consciousness transforms into your spellbook, along with all its spells. If the previous book still exists somewhere, all spells vanish from its pages. So one thing this doesn't talk about is writing on surfaces other than paper. I like the idea of a wizard being captured and thrown in a cell or a cage and them using their quill to write out runes on a stone wall or on the floor to prepare their spells. That's pretty cool. The other issue I have with that, to kind of piggyback off of the jailed wizard, is that you can use your spellbook as an arcane focus, and you can pretty much create your spellbook out of scraps of paper as long as you have your quill, and it only takes an hour, which means that you can never really rob a wizard of their spellbook or their arcane focus as long as they have access to paper. Now, anybody who's ever played in a game where you've lost all of your gear, like in the prison cell example, or like the beginning of Out of the Abyss where you're captured by drow, you've probably noticed that casters have the hardest time because of that spell focus. Without it, they have to actually track down specific spell components until they can get the actual focus, which is cool. Don't get me wrong. I really enjoyed the challenge of like looking at the spell components and trying to track down specific things to cast spells. That's actually pretty cool. The problem that I have with this is that it's always been harder on wizards. Once a wizard loses their spell book, they are nearly crippled. They're really tied to the spell book. Whereas all the other classes, if you have your focus, you're good. You can recuperate, at least somewhat. With this, the wizard is actually stronger than everybody else as far as getting back on track after being robbed of their gear. And in my opinion, that's cool and all, but in my opinion, the wizard should be the one to take it the hardest. The one who, if they lose all of their stuff, they're screwed. Which is why I addressed using the quill to kind of write runes on a wall or something. Maybe they can do a specific spell. I don't know. This is really getting into the weeds, but I like the idea of the wizard being in a jail cell, scribbling on the wall to prepare spells. That's just a really cool idea to me. But being able to just like pull together some toilet paper or something, or an old book, and just boom, I've got a spell book and a focus, and I'm ready to roll. I'm combat efficient more so than the sorcerer, who is not gear dependent, is just odd to me. It's odd to me. I don't know. You let me know in the comments. Tell me if I'm overthinking it. I've always been a huge fan of wizards, so that one kind of stood out to me. Let's move on to the next thing. At 6th level, scribes get Master Scrivener. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can create one magic scroll by touching your wizardly quill to a blank piece of paper or parchment and casting one spell from your awakened spellbook to be copied onto the scroll. The spellbook must be within 5 feet of you when you make the scroll. The chosen spell must be a 1st or 2nd level and must have a casting time of 1 action. Once in the scroll, the spell's power is enhanced, counting as 1 level higher than normal. You can cast the spell from the scroll by reading it as an action. The scroll is unintelligible to anyone else, and the spell vanishes from the scroll when you cast it or when you finish your next long rest. You are also adept at crafting spell scrolls, which are described in Chapter 7 of the Dungeon Master's Guide. The golden time you must spend to make such a scroll are halved if you use your wizardly quill. That is pretty cool. Notice it doesn't mention anything about components, so I'm guessing that you can just pop out a scroll regardless of components. But you can only have 1 active at a time because of that long rest. So that's actually pretty cool. You just have like a little side scroll that you can write down every day, and you just got that little extra spell. That's pretty cool. Also, half cost for scribing scrolls. Very nice. Now, at 10th level, the scribe kind of goes off the rails. They get Manifest Mind. You are now able to conjure forth the mind of your awakened spellbook. As a bonus action, while the book is on your person, you can cause the mind to manifest as a tiny spectral construct, hovering in an unoccupied space of your choice within 60 feet of you. This presence is intangible and doesn't occupy its space, and it sheds dim light in a 10-foot radius. It looks like a ghostly tome, a cascade of text, or a scholar from your past, your choice. The spectral mind has a number of hit points equal to your wizard level plus your intelligence mod, and it uses your armor class and saving throw modifiers. While manifested, the spectral mind can hear and see, and it has dark vision with a range of 60 feet. As an action, you can hear and see using its senses instead of your own until your concentration ends. Whenever you cast a wizard spell on your turn, you can cast it as if you were in the spectral mind space instead of your own, using its senses. You can do so a number of times per day equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. As a bonus action, you can cause the spectral mind to hover up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space that you or it can see. It can pass through creatures but not objects. The spectral mind stops manifesting if it is ever more than 300 feet away from you, if it drops to 0 hit points, if you die, or if you dismiss it as a bonus action. Very strange. The first time I read it, I was like, that is odd for a scribe to just have a spirit following around. But then I got to thinking like, okay, your spell book basically becomes your familiar. So that's pretty cool. I wish that it was a little bit earlier than 10th level, like maybe Find Familiar adds your awakened spellbook to the list. I don't know. It's kind of weird. It seems kind of weak for a 10th level feature because it's basically just a familiar with I guess with a couple of little extra fluff to it, but it's essentially your spellbook becomes your familiar. 14th level scribe gets One with the Word. Your connections to your awakened spellbook has become so profound that your soul has become entwined with it. While you are holding the book and its spectral mind is manifest, you can take an action to cause the two of you to teleport, swapping places. You can teleport in this way a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Moreover, if you die but at least one spell remains in your spell book, you can return to life 1 minute later within 5 feet of the book. You revive with 1 hit point, then roll 3d6. The book loses spells of your choice that have a combined spell level equal to that roll or higher. For example, if the roll's total is 9, spells vanish from the book that have a combined level of at least 9, which could mean 1 9th level spell, 3 3rd level spells, or some other combination. Thereafter, you are incapable of casting the lost spells, even if you find them on a scroll or in another spell book. The only way to restore your ability to cast one of the lost spells is through the Wish spell, which can restore 1 spell to the book per casting. That is harsh. You lose a spell for dying, just completely gone. Not happening. Granted, at 14th level, it's pretty hard to die, and you have so many different ways to prevent it from happening. But, man, do not lose that spell, because if you wish for that spell back, you have a chance of losing wish. So it's that's harsh to me. That's pretty rough. Granted, you're coming back from the dead, but still, that's harsh. Man, that's cruel almost. I would have liked a different way to go about it, rather than wish. Maybe if you could wish for it back and not have a chance to lose your wish forever. I don't know. That's a tough one. That seems harsh to me, but let me know in the comments if you feel that's fair. The reason that I feel so strongly against them losing a spell forever is because the theme of the class, the scribe especially, the subclass, is that wizards are gathering knowledge and like trying to fill out that spell book. I love playing the collector wizard where you like fill up you're trying to get every single spell. I know that's really hard to do in a D&D game. Anybody that's ever played a wizard and tried to do that. So and the scribe really reinforces that idea, at least in my opinion. So having the scribe lose a spell forever, nothing but a wish can give it back, seems counter to the theme of the scribe. Like that's, let me, I'll die, fine, I'll die. Just don't take my knowledge from me, kind of. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. And with that, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you know how YouTube works. Hit those buttons, leave a comment down below. Let me know what your favorite thing from Subclass Revisited is. And if you're a player looking for a game or a DM looking for players, make sure you join the Discord. Link in the description. Come by, ask questions, let me know what you think. And as always, I'll see you at sundown.